When a couple asks to meet me, I send them a few questions so that I have a bit of information about them and their wedding day before we meet. And one of the questions I ask is, what do you think makes a great celebrant? The answers vary. Sometimes it's they're organised, fun, and listen to what we want. Sometimes it's they know what they're doing and they'll offer us lots of advice. And sometimes it's, no clue, sorry, we've never needed one before. Fair enough, you only know what you know. This video is to give you an insight into what a celebrant does, or being more specific, what I do. You'll see me setting up the venue and all the attention to detail before, during and after the ceremony. And I'll give you a bit of a rundown on what happens before the wedding day. Hopefully by the end of this video, you'll have a better idea of what makes a great celebrant for you. Every couple and every ceremony is different, so details vary. But what all ceremonies have in common is preparation, practice and performance. To write a ceremony, I meet with a couple at least once and take lots of notes. I give them several resources so they know what's possible in their ceremony. Anything goes, really. The legal bits in New Zealand are pretty simple and it's my job to make sure we comply with them. So couples don't have to worry about that sort of thing with me. I put a ceremony draft together about 2 months before a couple's wedding for them to consider it. And that's because they're then ready to look at the words. Everything else has pretty much been organised by then. I'm on hand to make any necessary changes to the ceremony and to help with that sometimes tricky task of writing vows. A marriage licence is ordered about a month out from the wedding date, and I send an email reminder about that with all the info. So, that's the preparation part. Then comes the practicing. A rehearsal is an integral part of the process. It's where we all confirm the choreography of the ceremony, who stands where and what happens in each bit. It's usually at the venue, but if that doesn't suit, we can have it in your own backyard or mine. There's also an important emotional element to a rehearsal. It's when things start to feel really real. So tears, happy or stressed, are a common occurrence at a rehearsal. I write down all the last minute stage directions or changes to the script, and I check every last little thing on my rehearsal checklist. Right down to, do you have a special pen that you'd like to use for the signing, or do you want to use one of mine? I have several to choose from. I also make a note of who you want sitting in the front rows on your day. And then the big day arrives. Before I walk out my front door, I put time into getting ready. I've triple checked I have everything I need, and I've practiced reading the ceremony aloud. Driving to a ceremony can be an interesting business, particularly when stopped at traffic lights and I'm doing my vocal warm-up exercises in the car. I've been known to get a few funny looks. I arrive at a venue about an hour to 45 minutes before kickoff so that I'm focused, calm, relaxed. It's really important to me. It's someone's wedding day, a milestone occasion for them, and I want to get it right. So, practice complete. Now it's performance time. Starting with the setup, I get my PA in place to make sure it's not going to be intrusive in any of the photos. And then I have a sound check to make sure everything is working. The next step I do is I organise the paperwork ready for signing later. Now, one half of the couple arrives at some point there, and in this case it was the groom. But remember, sometimes it's a bride and bride, or groom and groom. In this case, the groom and his best man needed help with their buttonholes. After encountering a few gnarly buttonholes in my time, I've now watched many YouTube clips on the what, where and how of these things. This best man couldn't make our rehearsal, so I needed to give him a debrief so he was all good with his job in the ceremony. But I always say to couples, as long as I know what you're wanting to happen, then I can debrief people on the day as to what has been decided. So leave it to me. You'll have more than enough to think about. And I also check out that the space is how you want it to be. Did you want 4 chairs across the front or 6? Is the signing table where you're expecting it to be? Because sometimes things can change from the rehearsal. That sort of thing. In terms of seating, we have discussed that at your rehearsal so that all the really important people to you are where you want them to be. Reading through the ceremony and the rehearsal checklist one more time is a good chance to make sure I haven't missed anything. And working in with other vendors is really important too. So do the caterers want to check timing? Does the photographer want to discuss ceremony elements? And I meet the MC so that I can introduce them. And how's the groom going? This groom was pretty happy and relaxed, but some people are very nervous. Everyone's different. And it's my job to look after those people who are involved and help them to have the best experience possible. I like to meet the person that's walking in. It gives them the confidence that all is well. The person who wrote the ceremony, practiced the ceremony, and will be delivering it is standing right in front of them with a smile on their face. A couple's adrenaline is pumping, but I'm cool, calm, and collected. Meeting the person who is going to be walking in is an insurance policy also that nothing gets started until we're all poised and ready. And so double check the music, we're ready to go. I'm happy to seat people if this has not been assigned to anybody else. I introduce myself and go through the notices that a couple has asked me to do. It's usually about photos or posting on social media, that sort of thing. That way, everyone is on the same page and all the family and friends know exactly what is happening. Like I said before, every ceremony is different. This one was a more traditional, family-oriented one. The bride wanted to be escorted in on the arm of her dad. Both sets of parents were acknowledged for their love and support, and the grandparents for being in attendance. The support crew this couple chose were acknowledged, and a reading was spoken by a sibling from either side. My microphone is really handy for these elements, as it's easily transferred from person to person and doesn't intrude in photographs. Also, not many people are comfortable talking with a microphone, and so it eliminates that thing where they pull it away from their face and it's rendered useless anyway. A couple's full legal names must be used at least once in the ceremony, either by the couple themselves or the celebrant, to identify the two people named on the marriage licence. It depends on what vibe a couple wants as to who does this. It is all these little attentions to detail that make each ceremony personal and unique to each couple. I encourage a bride to hold her bouquet for the beginning part of the ceremony because it's such an integral part of her outfit, and it allows the ceremony to build in layers. So when the time is right, I ask her to pass the bouquet so that she and her spouse can hold both hands, ready to speak their vows to one another. It makes it a moment, that adrenaline rush of, this is it. I think the movies have influenced a desire to say I do in a ceremony, but it also can be a we do or no questions asked at all. Whatever feels right for a couple. This couple strongly felt that they didn't want to be wearing the microphone when they said their personal words to one another, and that is absolutely fine. I advocate for what a couple wants. My jurisdiction only lies in the legal bits. Elsewhere in the ceremony, anything goes. What you'll notice here is that I do try to get out of a couple's bubble when they're saying their vows to one another. I'm on hand to help if they get nervous, but I'm not in their space. Wedding rings are a symbol of the promises a couple have just made, so it makes sense that they follow the vows. There are lots of possibilities when it comes to the ring exchange and who will have the rings and how they will be presented. But in this case, it was the best man who had both of them in a box, which is a more traditional approach. In this particular ceremony, we also incorporated the engagement ring to join the proposal moment of yes to the marriage moment of I take you. You're probably getting a bit more of an idea now of how much time and preparation goes into the writing of a marriage ceremony. I listen very carefully to couples and take a lot of notes. I guess innovative and personal ceremonies are my speciality. I don't copy templates off the internet or use someone else's work, that's not my gig. I'm not cheap and cheerful, I'm creative and cheerful. This couple wanted traditional, elegant, classy, organised, but also warm and relaxed. So that's what I delivered. If someone wants short, simple, funky and alternative, then that's what I deliver. I don't expect a couple to mould to my style, I mould to theirs. Having said all that, a must-do for all celebrants is get out of the kiss shot. The signing of the paperwork is another element in a marriage ceremony that can be personalised. Who will you choose for your two witnesses? Do you want the signing to be a part of the ceremony or something that happens afterwards? There is no right or wrong. In this case, they chose the two mums to sign the paperwork, and it was a part of their ceremony. A ceremony needs to finish on a high note of love and joy. This is where my experience as a performer comes in handy. Aiming for the perfect pitch and pace to send a couple on their way. It's what I teach my secondary school students when they have to do school speeches. Start strong, finish strong, and make the middle bit engaging for your audience. Find the most interesting information and structure it in a way that is easy to follow and has a heart. At the rehearsal, we practice the walking out so that it can be the best it can be. I make sure the couple have the aisle all to themselves with no one in the background, so that moment of walking out, the photographer captures just the couple in the aisle, that moment of yay! Ceremony complete, it's time for a few follow-up tasks. I make sure all the paperwork is legible and correct. Now, one copy of the particulars of marriage gets sent into BDM via photo and email, and the other copy a couple keeps. It's the celebrant's job to make sure that a marriage is registered with births, deaths and marriages. The couple's copy I print onto a nice card, and after the ceremony I put it in a safe place. In this case it was in the cards box. I also put there things like the vows or any props from the ceremony, such as candles or whiskey or sand vases. A couple don't want to be worrying about that sort of thing. They've got really great, enthusiastic congratulations to enjoy. The last thing I like to do is have a photo with the couple if possible. Maybe 5 years from now, a cousin, brother, sister, aunt, or might ring me up and ask me to be their celebrant, and I don't want to wear the same outfit, now do I? And what happens next? I quietly disappear. The celebration with family and friends has begun, and my job is done. I follow up with an email to confirm that BDM has all the paperwork. I encourage couples I work with to give me feedback so that I can continue to learn and improve my celebrant services. I hope this video has given you some idea of what a celebrant does. We're all different, as are all couples, but if you think in terms of preparation, practice and performance in regards to your ceremony, then you'll have a better idea of what makes a great celebrant for you. Ngā mihi. Thanks for listening.